Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Inside LSU Baseball. I am your host, Jason Armstrong, and it is good to be back actually talking about something that happened on the field. This past weekend, we had the opening series of the year for LSU Baseball against Indiana Fort Wayne. And the Tigers took care of business like we all expected them to. So there was no surprises there. Um, but what we're going to do today is just kind of talk about some of the things that caught my attention. I don't need to tell you what the box scores said, like, and focus on obvious things. You watch the games, you can read. Um, I'm going to try to give you some just my insight on what stood out to me. Something, maybe something different than um, some of the other videos or podcasts that you've heard already. And so anyway, that's what we're going to do today. Just to start off, I don't understand. I know Jay is very calculated. Everything that he does is well thought out. But for the life of me, whether it is Maine or North Dakota State or Indiana Fort Wayne, I don't know what the deal is with opening against some of these teams that LSU plays. I mean, I look around the SEC and I see the competition that Ole Miss and Texas is playing against, and Vanderbilt, and it would just be great to to see us open up. I guess we get enough of that in football, so open up against really good teams. So maybe that's okay. Maybe we need a win, to open up, but it's also good to get a lot of guys in there, a lot of even the players that are tenured and have experience. That's a new deal being playing in Baton Rouge and Alex Box Stadium, and so I guess kind of letting them get off to a fast start, is something that Jay, thinks is important. But anyway, overall weekend was great. If I just from the jump, kind of analyze what I think about the team as going into the opening weekend. I had very high expectations for this team already. So after seeing them play 3 games, how does it compare to kind of what I thought? Um, I think that they were probably offense was about what I expected. Um, I think that the pitching is, especially the relief pitching, is really what stood out to me. And I'm going to get into some of that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to work backwards because game three is the freshest in our minds. We just watched Chase Shores pitch yesterday. So I'm going to kind of start from game three and then just kind of talk about the pitching and what I saw. And we'll work backwards. So Shores takes the mound. Shores did a nice job. I mean, I think he went overall. Let's see exactly what he went. I want to say that Chase Shores wound up pitching, 5 innings, only gave up 3 hits, 7 strikeouts, 1 earned run. Just like the scrimmages, his first inning was kind of his one that where I guess he gets comfortable, and then after that he did a really nice job. But Shores threw 67 pitches in his first outing, 65% strike rate. So he threw a lot of strikes. That first inning, he's 97, 98 with the fastball. Um, Overtime, I think it was like in the fourth, fifth inning, he was throwing some 94, 96s. Uh, but that's normal for the velocity to drop a little bit. Um, Curveball, he threw. I saw 2 off-speed pitches for the most part. The curveball was more of a get me over. It was like the 83 to 86 mile per hour range. It was a really nice pitch. He threw it a lot, especially to left-handed. See, that's the thing. When you're a right-handed pitcher going against left-handed batters, you have to have something um, that's going to give them trouble. I mean, traditionally, the whole reason why, from an offensive perspective, that you want to run lefties up there against a right-hander is because their breaking ball is going to break right into you. So he had that get me over curveball that he kind of threw early in counts for 83, 86. But then he had something that was harder. It looked more like a slider or a cutter. I mean, it was from 89 to 91 at times, but he got a couple of strikeouts with it against left-handed hitters where he would throw that in on the hands, kind of that back foot slider. It didn't always accomplish that, but he did throw with two strikes, especially I noticed it, the harder of the two breaking balls. Now, I'll get on my soapbox now after one weekend so far of LSU baseball. If you followed me for the last few years, you know how I feel about the changeup. I think it's the best pitch in baseball. Um, I didn't see a whole lot this weekend, and I so you can look at this two ways. And this is what I heard in the past, last year when I would talk about guys up there wanting to see more changeups. Is you'll have people say, well, they don't these guys they don't need to throw a changeup against this competition. They can get by with their fat, and I get that. That is true. Chase Shores did not need to throw a changeup against Indiana Fort Wayne. But if you don't start throwing it now, it is very difficult as the season goes on to start incorporating new pitches. Now, again, this is his first outing, so I'm not overreacting or anything like that. But I remember last year there was a time, as you got into a couple of weeks into conference play, where Jay was talking about, look, we're trying to develop changeups, and nobody was throwing them early in the year. You really, especially that lineup yesterday, ran out like seven left-handed batters. And, you know, if you're a right-handed pitcher, having something that drops down in a way is extremely valuable. I didn't see a lot of that yesterday. Hopefully, that's something that we'll see more of because Chase Shores he had a nice changeup back in 2023 in that abbreviated year. So, but overall, I think Shores was fine. I thought he looked good. I think his velocity held for a few innings. And the big thing was there was no walks. I don't believe he walked anybody, and so that's a key. You wasn't a lot of really missing really bad with balls bouncing all over the place. I thought he did a nice job for his first outing, especially. Now, the relievers that came in after Chase Shores yesterday um, were really impressive. So we finally got to see William Schmidt. And William Schmidt came in that seventh inning, and he was 95, 96, and up to 97 with that four seam fastball. Um, as that second inning that he pitched, I think he pitched a batter in the ninth inning. It was more like 93, 94, but he did have a strikeout that was 96-mile-per-hour fastball in the eighth inning. Um, he got ahead of the hitter and uh, had two strikes and put a little something else on it. The curveball was about 82 miles out. It was disgusting. It was nasty. That kind of curveball, I don't care if it's against a lefty or a righty that's in the box, that curveball will play. Um, and so, you know, he threw 32 total pitches. He had a strike rate of 72%. Like anything over 65 is really good. I mean, 72%, that's not bad at all. So, William Schmidt, um, I think people were concerned in the preseason just the way that sometimes he would get hit a little bit against the LSU lineup. Um, I don't think there's anything to be concerned with. The guy had the velocity. The breaking ball is just top notch, and we're going to see a lot of him. Jaden Newt was a pleasant surprise for me this weekend. If you remember, Jaden Newt was a very high um, rated freshman in the 2023 class. I mean, extreme. He was like a top 40 guy, might have been top 35, and he got hurt, so we didn't see him. He came in for a game last year against Vanderbilt, and he was not good at all. He was throwing like low 90s, like way low 90s. And they hit him. I think he might have pitched an inning or a couple batters, and I think they hit a home run off of him even. He just wasn't ready. Um, he was ready yesterday. He was throwing 96 miles per hour, and it's a different fastball than like William Schmidt's. At least what I see. William Schmidt, I don't. It carry has really good carry. He can throw it, elevate it, and it kind of explodes. Jaden Newt's got a lot of run on his fastball, so he throws it and it runs arm side. Really tough against a right-handed batter because it runs in on the hands. Against a lefty, it runs away. He actually got, I think, the last strikeout of the game. He threw that away to a lefty. Got a swing and miss. His curveball, I guess you call it a curveball. It's 81 miles an hour. That was really impressive. He dropped that in there a couple of times, and it was really nice. And the other thing I saw him throw a couple times, it was hard. It was like 89. Again, I'd assume it's a cutter. It didn't look like it had a ton of break to be a slider, but that's three really nice pitches from a relief pitcher that might be in there to get like a couple of batters or get an inning out of them. Really good stuff. So I was really impressed with those guys. That came in yesterday. Those are the ones that stood out to me. I think Primo might have thrown yesterday, maybe it was the day before. He also did a pretty nice job. Um, Now let's go to game two. Anthony Ianson. Um, and again, weeks ago, I made the comparison: Anthony Ianson, Luke Holman, Chase Shores, Gage Jump. Um, and there, I would say after seeing him yesterday, I still I see the parallels because of the strike throwing. Um, but the stuff's a little different. Ianson, that first inning was like 95 miles an hour with his fastball. There was a big drop off in miles per hour into like the fourth inning. I didn't see him throw, unless he didn't throw any more fastballs. I mean, everything was like 91, 92, and more 91s than 92. So, uh, he did throw something that was in the 81 mile an hour. It looked like I think they said split finger. I don't know if it was a split finger, sinker, or change it, whatever it was. It had a lot of movement and would drop in front of the plate a couple times. It was kind of hard for the catcher to handle. That was a nice pitch. And then he had the 77 mile per hour curveball. That's the big looping curveball. Um, and that's kind of his get me over, when he needs a strike. I thought Einstein did a good job. If we're looking at his stat line, he's another one that I want to say, let's see here. Einstein threw 5 innings, 4 hits, one earned run. He got 6 strikeouts. The one thing I'll tell you about Einstein that I was a little surprised about is that there wasn't a lot of swing and miss against his fastball. They were kind of getting some good swings on his fastball at times. That's the big difference when I think of Luke Holman, is that Luke Holman was able to get a lot of whiffs with that elevated fastball. Ianson um, he got some ground outs, got some outs with the fastball, and he kind of set up his off speed with it. The other thing is his curveball is a lot different speed than Luke Holman. Luke Holman could really put you away with that slider. It was a faster pitch than Einson's curveball, so a little different. But you, that was kind of the whole deal with Einson, is that I'm interested to see as the year goes on and his next outing, even as the competition gets a little better, is he able to get some more swing and miss and put guys away um, with his fastball, and even with the breaking ball. Does he incorporate the harder breaking ball a little bit more? I'll tell you what, though, his first 6 batters he faced, he threw first pitch strikes. He was 6 for 6, so that's great. Now, the guy of this game that stood out to me, um, well, I'm pretty sure following Ironton was Connor Binge. I was not ready for that. I'm pretty sure that was the game Binge pitched. He was really nice. He had a nice two seamer that ran away kind of in that 94, 95, 96 range. But he made really quick work in the inning he pitched, and that was impressive. He was a guy when Jay brought him in the transfer portal, I was like, what do we need this guy for? I mean, we got everybody, and I didn't see a lot of difference in him from the other guys. But seeing him yesterday, he uh, kind of reminds me of Newt a little bit in that like two seamer with run, mid 90s. But I was impressed. But the guy day two that really had an effect on me was Maverick Rizzi. Maverick Rizzi is a big old boy. Was he 6'9", I think it is? And he was 97, 98 with run. I'm talking like serious run against these right-handed batters. The ball was starting over the plate and running in on their hands. And then he came and dropped this nasty breaking ball that would just play right off of it. It was very, very impressive. I mean, I didn't expect him to have that type of fastball. Uh, with that type of movement, and it was just it looked good, and he was just strike after strike after strike, um, very impressive. So, we saw Schmidt yesterday; he was incredible. Rizzi, we saw game two, he looked incredible. So that brings us to game one, where we got to see the Friday night guy. That's Cade Anderson, and Cade Anderson was really good. Um, my initial thoughts just watching Cade Anderson, 5 innings pitched, no runs, 8 strikeouts, 1 walk. Um, I thought that the biggest thing that I noticed about Cade Anderson compared to last year is that last year, Cade Anderson, his predominant breaking ball was a curveball, like a slow Barry Zito 77 mile per hour curveball. Big, big difference from the fastball to the curveball. What he's throwing now is a slider, and it's more of a 84, 86 instead of the 77 mile per hour breaking ball. Um, which, preference wise, I think you need to throw two different speeds because Cade Anderson didn't show a changeup. I don't know that he's going to throw a changeup. So, like, if you have a curveball that's that slow, and once it comes out the hand and the hitter sees, okay, this is off speed, he's got a lot of time to react. When you mix the slider in, it looks a lot like a fastball, and when they figure out this is off speed, it's still hard enough that they have to react faster. So the slider can be really, really effective because the slow curveball, I'm a big fan of it, but you could fool the guy and he could still kind of sit back and put the bat on it. He only threw one of the curveballs though, which again, that was his pitch last year. Just like Gavin Guidry, that was his pitch in 2023, and then last year he came out to shoot and it was all slider, and then he kind of went back to the slow one. But I think it's important to throw off, especially if a starter, you want to have 3 pitches. That was the big thing I noticed is everything was slider, and the slider was dirty. Like, it was very good. So don't get me wrong. Um, and he did the one curveball that I saw him throw. He got a lefty. He ended the inning with a strikeout. I think he looked at it was a strikeout looking. So Anderson was very good. 91 to 93, something, somewhere in there. But he's going to be really good. I think he's going to be steady Eddie all year long for us. Um, and I mean, look, with those 3 starting pitchers, Cade Anderson, Anthony Ianson, Chase Shores. I mean, that's a very formidable staff. I mean, I don't think it's um, I don't think it's a staff where they're going to go out there and strike out 15 in an SEC weekend or anything like that. But like, I think those are 3 really good pitchers. Um, with Shores probably having the most explosive stuff. Um, but I like all 3 of those guys. Now, if you follow me on Twitter, which I hope you do, then you'll know uh, the I couldn't go to sleep Friday night over this guy's performance. Kason Evans, what in the world? I, I mean, I'm not surprised because going into the draft, Kason Evans was somebody nobody was talking about that I was hoping, and a lot of people thought he was going to play shortstop, but it was kind of evident at that point he was going to be a pitcher. This guy, I was so glad to get him through the draft, and even once he was on campus, you heard everybody's all the big freshmen's name comes up in transport. Kason Evans was kind of an afterthought. Man, this guy is nuts. He's so good. Big fan. He threw like 5 balls out of like 23, I think it was. I mean, ton of first pitch strikes, 6 up, 6 down. I think he faced 6 batters. I mean, to be able to elevate his fastball like that and then come back with the breaking ball that he has is unfair. I mean, it's just unfair. Um, that guy is so good. And then we got to see Jacob Myers, which I was very excited. Jacob Myers was, I want to say, mid 90s when he came in. And what I really liked about Jacob Myers is I think the second batter he faced, I want to say he went 3-0 and came all the way back and got a strikeout or got the out. That was good because I'm watching him going, okay, got the first guy out. Here comes the second batter, 3-0. Oh, no. Come on, Jacob. Those strikes, buddy, and he rallied and he got the guy and then he went and got the next batter out, and I thought that was big for his confidence. It's such a unique look. He's so over the top, and just such a hard fastball to hit. The way he elevates it with the spin rate he has, it just really holds his plane. So that was exciting. I thought Cooper Williams, the freshman, I loved how much um, he was able to use both pitches. His fastball was lower 90s. And the curveball was like in the high 70s with the curveball. It wasn't a slider; it was more of a true breaking ball to me. And that guy can pitch. Like that guy can pitch for LSU right now. Can you imagine? Forget like this year, next year. So the 2026 LSU Tigers, like let's just pretend that no pitchers come back. um, I'm talking about the freshman, like outside of the freshmen. You don't bring in anybody, no transfer portal. You could have William Schmidt, Kason Evans, Maverick Rizzi, Cooper Williams is like your four main. Like that's a rotation. Like man, we're gonna have some fun and with this freshman class for some time. That's for sure. So but Kason Evans, unbelievable, like star material. Um, those are just some really impressive bombs. And I don't care who it's against. I don't care who you're playing. That type of velocity with the breaking ball that the relievers showed, um, the ability to elevate and pitch in, pinch out with some of the run, it was impressive. So I'm not just going by like, hey, they struck out 45 and walked two. Now that's also impressive to not walk anybody. Um, but it's not so much the results that I saw, it's the way that they threw the ball. So let's now talk about the position players. I mean, a few guys had really nice weekends. I think it was good to see, Chris Stanfield hit 400 on the weekend. Um, Curryall was just, good. I mean, hit. I think he had 4 hits on the weekend. Hit a home run. Hit hit a ball to the left side, bunted it down the line. Just very versatile, very good. Jared Jones, 2 for 7 with a home run, I think were his stats, but he walked 5 times. Very selective, and that's good because people aren't going to give Jones at times a lot to hit. So it was nice to see him. Danny Dickinson, what a job! You didn't hear his name a whole bunch in the preseason until like that last couple of maybe last weekend. Um, and he came out the gate just like not playing around. So it was good to see him. I think he was like 5 for 9 with 7 RBIs. He hit a home run that, yeah, I guess the wind helped it, but still, um, he did what he needed to do. Um, Jake Brown had a decent weekend, 3 for 8. Um, a couple of guys, Braswell, he got a hit in each of the games. So he had 1 hit in each game that we played, which leads me to a couple of kind of position battles that I was watching closely anyway, and just kind of my observation. So the first one is catcher. Um, Luis Hernandez, and look, it's the first series. It's fine, but I I didn't think he looked great at the plate. I know he went down swinging 1 pitch that was out of the zone, and um, he did get a hit that he hit like off the end of the bat that they were covering second, so it wouldn't have been a hit. Really slow, like not very hard contact. Uh, but he didn't have a great weekend at the plate. On the flip side, um, Kate Beatty, he only had one hit. Now he started one game and then he got in like a lot of the guys did to pinch hit. Kate Beatty hit two like really hard hit balls that both of them resulted in outs, but man, he hit the ball hard. One of them was to left field. The other one was like to right center that they had to kind of go back and make a catch on, but he really got a good piece of it. And then the hit that he got was like a one hopper at the third baseman. Um, I mean, so I was pretty impressed with the way he swung the bat and his limited time at the plate. Uh, that one will be interesting to see going forward because that's one of those deals where you do have three guys, maybe even four with Eddie Yaman, but Blaze Priester can swing it. Uh, I know a lot of this is about defense, but you do. I think you are going to want at least another power bat in the lineup. So you hope that comes from Hernandez, or maybe it can come from Aaron Beatty or Priester. I just think that catching position can would be nice to bring some power to the lineup, even though that's not the first. You know that's not the most important. Um, I guess thing that position brings to the table. Now, the other one is the right field battle that I was looking at. Jake Brown has been killing the ball. Went seven for his last eight, I think, in the last weekend of the preseason, and he's a name that we've heard a lot all through the fall and preseason and everything. I just struggle to not have a guy who hit 337 in conference play last year, started 26 games. Jake Brown started a couple games at the end, but like Ashton Larson was a starter. Goes to the Cape Cod League, and he's the most valuable player for his team there. And then he's over here fighting for at bats. Well, guess what? He went 4 for 6 with a home run. I mean, he hit I think 4 home runs all last year, maybe three. He hit one the first start. Um, that was really good to see. I mean, he looks bigger. I just that's going to be a fun one to follow because um, Ashton Larson is just a really nice player, a guy who can really hit. But again, I don't know how you pick, over whether it's Ashton Larson, Jake Brown in right field. You got to consider Pearson in this thing. So anyway, that's one that really had my interest. So, but again, offense was a little bit different. You had some bases being stolen. Looking to see how many exactly, but you had bases being stolen. You some hit and runs. So it's a different look uh, than we're used to with all the power. Uh, and I think that's going to give a lot of defenses trouble because they scored 14 runs the first game and didn't hit a home run. So uh, just overall impressed. Now that brings us to the upcoming schedule. As we're recording this on a Monday, and we got a midweek game on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. So we're gonna have to. There's a couple of pitchers even that we didn't even see this week, and we didn't see Gidry, we didn't see Ware, we didn't see Cade Woods, we didn't see Chandler Dorsey. Be very interesting to see what they do about those arms because we didn't. Isn't that crazy that you've got arms that good that didn't even pitch? And Tuesday you're going to have Southern. Southern, you'll have no problem handling Southern. But um, Wednesday, you've got uh, two Nichols, and that Nichols is right at the top half of their conference, and in the preseason, I guess rankings from D1. Um, that's one that you're going on the road to Thibodeau to play, and so I'll be very interested to see how does Jay use his pitching staff. Is that something? I if you're asking me, Gavin Guidry is a guy that they stretched out that he could start. You could also go with Zach Cowan. That's a guy who's started in the past. So who knows how he plays that? But I'm very interested to see. those guys, because I've been dying to see Connor Ware. I think Connor Ware is an absolute stud, star in the making. Cannot wait to see him pitch. So that's going to be exciting. Nichols, by the way, when they do like their D1 does their like top draft prospects in the entire Southland Conference, Nichols has like three guys in the top 10. They actually have three Big 12 transfers that are on that team right now. Two, I think the shortstop and another infielder and an outfielder. So, you know that program, new coach, but been in a regional the last 2 years, I want to say, playing in the postseason. So, nice to get an early season test before you go into the Omaha series. So, last thing I want to do is something that the way I cover this team and as closely as I follow them, once a Tiger, I'm always going to root for you. And so I do like to keep up. You might not care, but I do like to keep up with a lot of the familiar names that you've been following. Look, it happens every year. There are going to be guys on this team you're cheering for right now that might be somewhere else next year. It's just how it goes. So, looking at some former Tigers that are in new places this year and how they did this weekend. Um, and this is wild. You have three pitchers that were on LSU's 2024 team last year that started in the opening weekend rotations at other places. So you had Micah Bucknam that pitched very seldom last year. I love Micah Bucknam. Great curveball. Um, and somebody who's in the mid 90s, low mid 90s from British Columbia. And anyway, Michael Putnam was the Friday night starter for Dallas Baptist DBU, and they had a good outing. It went 4.1, 7 Ks, gave up a few runs, but really happy for Michael Bucknam to be able to go somewhere, and that's what the transfer portal should be about. He just was buried at LSU, didn't get a lot of playing time after 2 years of being here, and so good for Michael Bucknam. Sam Dutton, great guy. Sam went to, his brother also plays for Auburn this year. Sam Dutton got the game two start through 4.1 innings, gave up one earned run, seven strikeouts. You always know with Sam Dutton, he's going to throw strikes, and I watched his outing, and he did a nice job. He looked like he typically does. Um, Against a pretty decent Holy Cross team. So good for Sam. The other one was Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson, we all know the type of talent and everything he was hyped up to be, and sometimes it just you need a new start for whatever reason. Um, just didn't work out here. And Skip Johnson, the coach at Oklahoma, he specializes in pitching, especially left. If you remember Jake Bennett on the 2022 team that played Ole Miss in the national championship series, just really good, big lefty, and that's a sneaky good Oklahoma pitching staff with the two Malachi Nelson. I'm sorry, Malachi Nelson. Who am I thinking? Is that a football player? Kyson Weatherspoon, Malachi Witherspoon, Cam Johnson, Cade Crossland, who is an unbelievable big lefty. That's probably I wouldn't be surprised if he makes the rotation. Anyway, Cam Johnson. The one thing that happened, he threw 5 innings, only gave up a couple earned runs. He did walk five, struck out a few, but that's something maybe that he could work on. Couple of not so great. Um, one other guy I want to highlight, as a matter of fact, two other guys from position standpoint. Paxton Kling, who is now at Penn State, hit his first home run at Penn State. He actually had a multi-hit game, and Penn State played good this weekend. But Paxton Kling had a multi-hit game, and then got got the home run. I think it was game one that they played. So good for Paxton. Ryan Kucharak, who is now at Northwestern, I guess up in Chicago. He had a four-hit series this weekend, and he hit his first collegiate home run. So good for those former Tigers. I always pull for these guys. Once again, Aiden Moffitt did get in the game for Texas, made a relief appearance and faced one batter. He had a wild pitch. He wound up walking him. Um, but he's going to get more chances. So Again, that's just taking a look at kind of former Tigers this weekend and how those guys did. I'm always like to touch on any good performances that we see them have. So that's going to wrap it up for this just kind of instant reaction to this weekend. Again, you got a game Tuesday night, we got a game Wednesday night, and then it's back into a 3-game series with Omaha. As always, I appreciate you joining me. Please follow the podcast on Apple, Spotify, and then we're going to have this posted on YouTube. If you don't mind subscribing, it really means a lot to me. And we'll see you back here soon on Inside LSU Baseball.